Hello chess friends, and welcome to Out of Chess channel, and welcome to a very special game that I prepared for you today. It's Leela C0 versus Stockfish 15, but in this game Stockfish will destroy the Richter-Rauzer attack with the black pieces. And I really don't want to overhype this game for you, but in my honest opinion this was one of the best games that I've seen in my life, with so many beautiful tactical shots all over the board, and especially in the Sicilian. You know that many things can happen with really some beautiful tactical sequences, so that's exactly what happened here. And what I really liked about this game is that Stockfish won the game here with the black pieces against its arch enemy, sort of, because Leela C0 is the most powerful engine after Stockfish, so it's the second best engine, and Stockfish destroyed really its arch enemy with a beautiful performance. And we have to say they played many of this computer chess championships finals. They've played also many TCEC finals, so that's why it makes even the win more important. What's also cool about this game is that the Richter-Rauzer attack is a playable opening. I really hate to see sometimes when they have to play sort of a bad opening line, maybe a bad opening sequence, they have to play this bad pre-arranged opening. I really hate to see that, because it's obvious that Stockfish will then destroy this pre-arranged openings in an early stage of the game, and then the game is not so important because probably you'll not play these openings at home. But this is really cool because this is a normal opening they played really a solid opening, and many of these lines and many of these ideas of the Richter-Rauzer attack you can use in your own home preparation. So that's why I think this is a special game and it's really worth the study. So let's see now the beautiful tactical game between Leela C0 and Stockfish 15 in the Richter-Rauzer attack. So here e4 was played by Leela C0. We have c5 by Stockfish, the Sicilian, knight to f3, d6, the modern Sicilian, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight to f6, attacking the pawn on e4, knight to c3, and after knight to c6 we have now the classical variation of the Sicilian. The four knights are out, and now white has many opportunities how to proceed here with f3, bishop to e2, and similar stuff. So here bishop to g5 has been played by Leela C0, the so-called Richter-Rauzer attack. And okay, the idea is clear. In many occasions, if you castle maybe too early kingside, then black will continue here with the normal idea. Bishop takes f6 will mess up your pawn structure. Whatever you do, e takes f6, look at this, it's not possible. Then you have an isolated pawn on the d file. If you take maybe with the g pawn, then you have still a messed up pawn structure. So if you could just imagine your position when you castle kingside, and then you have a double pawn structure, then of course white could have some beautiful attacking opportunities. So that's why Stockfish played this Chevening structure with the move e6. Of course, if now bishop to f6 happens, then still you have the opportunity to take out with the queen without messing up your pawn structure. The downside about this line, of course, is that you have a weakness on d6, so many times you want to improve then the weakness later with the potential d5 breakthrough. So in the continuation we have queen to d2. This is normal preparation, queenside castling, and then simply f3, g4, h4, attacking here the kingside. So in the continuation a6, so Stockfish is preparing also a queenside attack, because many times in the Sicilian black castles kingside, white castles queenside, and then the game becomes the so-called opposite side attack game, where black is, as I said, attacking the queen side, white is attacking the king side, and who is faster on the attack will probably win the game. So in the continuation we have queen side castling, h6, kicking with the bishop, bishop to e3, and now bishop to e7, normal developing here by Stockfish 15. If you try something like knight to g4, this seems that should be good because you're kicking away against bishop, but it's actually not such a huge problem here to handle this line for white, because white will simply take out your knight on c6. After b takes c6, then bishop to c5 is going to happen. Look at this, as we said, you're a little bit vulnerable around the square d6. Now you have to improve your pawn structure here with the move d5, but after bishop to f8, king to f8, you have lost the privilege of castling. So I'm not sure, in my opinion this is something that black should try to avoid. Here in the continuation f3 can be played, knight to f6, and now we just here from white's perspective improve the position of the king, and in the near future I think knight to a4, knight to c5 is the main strategic goal. Also look at this, we have still this tension on the d file. We still can of course also continue the pressure with g4, h4, h5, g5, whatever you want to play. So it's in my opinion a much better position for white. So that's why after bishop to e3, bishop to e7, is more solid, of course. Nothing special here so far in the position. So here f3. So Leela c0 is preparing now the g4, h4, g5, h5 attack here on the king side. So we have knight takes d4. So Stockfish undermines a little bit the pressure in the center, releases the pressure in the center, is saying, okay, we have seen that the knight takes c6 problem could happen in the near future, so that's why knight takes d4 also a natural idea. So we have bishop to d4, and when we watch now the database, the human database, we have here Garry Kasparov against Vladimir Kramnik, Anand versus Kramnik, Shirov versus Kramnik, Ivanchuk versus Valery Salov. So you see this position has been reached really in some beautiful sharp games in human history, so it's really a playable opening. That's why I really love the game. The evaluation is, of course, as usual, slightly better for white, but I think nothing special also here in white position. So here in the continuation we have b5. So we have reached now really the common Sicilian position where, as we said, black is attacking the queen side, white is attacking the king side. So h4 played by Leela c0. So if you play bishop to f6, it's maybe playable, but still with g takes f6 or whatever you want to play. Even bishop to f6 is working. Okay, queen takes d6, queen takes d6, rook takes d6, then maybe king to e7. The rook has to move, and now we can even, I think, play ideas of bishop takes c3, messing up the pawn structure. Although in this sequence white is up a pawn, but look at this, the black has the bishop pair on the board, the position gets more and more open, and look at this, also many pawns are on light squares, so the bishop is not such a powerful piece. This bishop gets better and better, especially because of the dark square problem. So as I said, taking out, maybe you could do if you just want to force a drawish position here from white's perspective, but nothing special also here, I think, in this line. So that's why h4. So Leela c0 continues simply the pressure, is hoping to get an early g4 and then afterwards a potential g5. So we have rook to b8, and that's what I liked here about Stockfish attack. So Stockfish probably had the opportunity also to play bishop to b7, and this position has been also played in chess history, but it's very important to understand something in this opposite side attack games. When you play this kind of a game and you're attacking your side of the board, your opponent is attacking the opposite side of the board, you don't want to play passive or slightly slow moves. I like to call them slow moves because now if you play just one slow move, your opponent will get sort of an extra tempo and then he will destroy you. For instance, if you play bishop to b7, okay, you have developed your piece, but you're attacking basically nothing. So white is then faster. White will play here, will move g4. I hope you realize that rook to b8 is much more aggressive because it's a move that prepares an attack here on the queen side. So that's why I like more this rook to b8 instead of bishop to b7. And see how important it was to play this move order a little bit different, because now Stockfish has at least the opportunity to attack the position immediately. So that's why here Leela c0 played a3, stopped this progress with the move b4, because you could also play, of course, e5, breaking in the center immediately. But actually, look at this, after d takes e5, bishop to e5, queen takes d2, rook takes d2, and again, if rook to a8 happens, nothing special, I think. Again, now maybe bishop to b7 could work, but without the queens, the position is not so dynamic anymore. So white doesn't want, of course, to trade off the queens and simplify the game too much in this stage of the game. So that's why a3. So Leela c0 is stopping at least the b4 breakthrough here, but Stockfish plays b4 anyway. And look at this, we're already there. We're already attacking white's position from black's perspective. If we would not have played this, let's go back, this sequence with rook to b8, if we would have played bishop to b7, look now a3 happens, then you don't have anymore the b4 move. So now you have to make a different preparation. Still white has sort of an extra tempo to attack your side of the board. So as I said, you should be careful when you're playing this kind of games. You have to be really active. If you lose one single tempo, you will lose probably the game. So that's why rook to b8, as we said, brilliant move by Stockfish 15. So now we have reached a position that has never been played in chess history, so we can even call it sort of a theoretical improvement here by Stockfish, because in this position we had some games where king to b1 has been played also in the continuation, but now we can play still normal kingside castling, and now maybe with ideas of b4 still we can attack further the position. So here, as we said, a3, b4, a takes b4, rook to b4 now by Stockfish, and now b3 by Leela c0, fixing now a little bit the pawn structure. If you play now knight to e2, maybe to create a discovered attack against the rook, look what could actually happen, how tactically rich already the position is. This hasn't not been played in the game, but I really wanted to show you how dirty really the Sicilian can be sometimes. Here, after move knight to e2, we can play d5. We're protecting, of course, here our rook, and we're also breaking in the center here. Now, for instance, if you play bishop to f6, we have here this opportunity, rook to a4 with the direct checkmate threat on a1. Now you have to play something like b3, but now with g takes f6, the problem is now you cannot even take the rook. Look at this, bishop to a3, queen to b6 is even a beautiful checkmate. So really wild stuff. So that's why you could maybe try in this position king to b1, but now with e5 we can maybe kick away the bishop, and this is suddenly an unpleasant game maybe here for white. White has to retreat, and now in the near future I think also black could build maybe a battery here on the b file, and this could be maybe then a much better continuation for black. So as I said, b3 is fixing a little bit the position, but it creates also some dark square problems in the near future. Maybe the bishop can again sneak in here on dark squares and attack the castle king. So here in the continuation, Stockfish played queen to c7. We have king to b2, and now kingside castling by Stockfish. So we have now g4 attacking, of course, the castle king, and now bishop to b7. You see now how important it was to play rook to b8, rook to b4, and now followed with bishop to b7. Now at least the rook is used as an attacking piece. If you would have played bishop to b7 and then rook to b8, then of course the bishop would stand in the in the way of the rooks, then the b file wouldn't be open. So now here the fun really starts. From this point on, we have now really the most epic tactical battle of all time. So g5 was played by Leela c0, and this move makes sense, of course, because you're attacking immediately the knight, but Stockfish found really a beautiful counter attack with rook to c8. The problem is now that if you take g takes f6, then you get this one, rook takes d4, and now if you take queen takes d4, bishop to f6, it's going to happen. And now look at it, where you're going to go with your queen. You have to only maybe this move, queen to c4, but look at this now, with queen to a5 we are continuing the pressure, and now the game is over here around the square c3. You have to sacrifice the queen, bishop to c8, but still nothing is solved here. We have the opportunity to continue the pressure around the square c3, so it's, in my opinion, game over here for white. So as I said, after move rook to c8 here, again knight to e2 has been played by Leela c0. Again, this idea to create this discovered attack against the rook, but now Stockfish found a beautiful move, knight to d7, because queen takes b4 is not possible immediately. You get this one, queen to c2, and now here in this sequence you see the rook is hanging, the king is a little bit naked and exposed here. There are always these threats to play something like, I don't know, bishop to f8 and then followed with d5. So again, the game is over here for white. So that's why after move knight to d7, here c3 was played by Leela c0. So you see Leela didn't dare to take out the rook, but now comes the stunning tactic of the game. Here Stockfish played an immortal rook takes b3. What to say? Okay, it seems so that something went wrong, because I really didn't understand where is the compensation in this line. How is this possible? Why Stockfish would sacrifice the rook without having immediately some checks, without even having some attacking formation? So I really didn't understand this rook sacrifice immediately. But now after king to b3, the position becomes clearer and clearer, because now look at this, knight to e5, and now here Stockfish is targeting the very weak square c4. So here bishop to e5 has been played. Even if you try here, let's see, g6 is also an opportunity maybe to create some madness, but now actually this is the possibility, bishop to c6, and bishop to c6 is of course opening the b file. This is now the threat, rook to b8 or maybe queen to b7. But now after g takes f7, king to f7, maybe the knight can come into the game and also threatening knight to e6 the fork. But look at this, queen to a5, and the position is already already almost lost here for white because of rook to b8. You can maybe try knight to e6, but look at this, king to e6, and now you have to step back, and then rook to b8 is going to happen. The game is over. So really dirty already. So after move knight to e5 here, Leela c0 played bishop to e5, is saying, okay, I got my rook, but now I want to simplify the game by trading off more pieces by just going into a favorable endgame. So here in the continuation, d takes e5, and now rook to a1, trying to protect, of course, some checks here on the a file. Even if you play something like queen takes a2, the stunning tactic actually that can happen, and we should be careful here from white's perspective, is this one, bishop to e4. This wasn't played in the game, but I wanted to show you what happens if you try maybe to get the queen also into the defense. Then bishop to e4, f takes e4, and now queen to b7, a check. You have to move your king here, and now you get even this one, queen to e4 with the fork here. We can also play rook to b8, and now we finally take out the rook. I'm not saying this is clear that black is winning, but look at this. Even if you try in the continuation maybe g6, we can take out this pawn. Even if you try, I don't know, maybe g takes h6, still we can of course take, and this pawn is weak, so now we would have 3 connected pawns here. So as I said, you can be the judge of this position. The evaluation here in this position is +1 for black. In the near future we can also try bishop to f6, maybe then also e4, liberating maybe this long diagonal against the king. The king is exposed. We have here 3 connected pawns. I'm sure when Stockfish is saying that this is a +1 evaluation, that Stockfish would win this game for sure. So as I said, in human level maybe this would be still complicated to win, but I'm sure that Stockfish would make something out of this position. So let's go back. After move d takes e5, so we have seen queen takes a2 is not working, so that's why rook to a1 has been played. So Leela tried to stay with the queen towards the center, where it can of course also create some attacking opportunities. So in the continuation we have now rook to d8, kicking away the queen. We have queen to e1, and now bishop to e4 anyway. So Stockfish sacrificed now a rook and a bishop just in order to get a beautiful attacking formation. So f takes e4, queen to b7, king to a2, and now queen to c6. Stockfish doesn't care for this pawn. Stockfish wants to get here the queen on c4, and then include also the rook into the game. So here in the continuation we have king to b2, we have queen to b7, we have now again king to a2, again queen to c6, and after queen to b2, now queen to b5. Finally a check. So Stockfish 15 didn't repeat the position 3 times, then it would be a draw. And now king to c1, played by Leela c0, but now queen to b3. The queen is coming really in the game in a beautiful way. And now g takes h6, played by Leela c0. So Leela is saying, at least maybe I'm trying some kind of a counter attack here on the g file. If you play, for instance, knight to g3, maybe to include this bishop somehow into the game, it's not so good because of this one. You have to be careful also about this sequences, because after h takes g5, look at this, you can maybe pass through, but now g4 with bishop to g5 is now the threat. If this bishop comes into the game and attacks the king, it's then game over. You see everything is cut off. The king is basically in a mating net, so that's why it's also not possible to play the game like this. So that's why you have to be careful. So g takes h6, as we said, played by Leela c0. Leela is trying now to get some kind of a g file attack. So we have now g6. Stockfish fixes now the pawn structure, is locking now the g file. Here in the continuation we have bishop to g2, and now bishop to a3. You have to now give up the rook for the piece. We have rook takes a3, queen takes a3, a check, king to b1, and now queen to a4. Now you see also the rook will come into the game, and the downside, look how Stockfish played this brutal tactical sequence, is that the knight cannot be included into the defense. You cannot use your knight here on c3 because your pawn is standing here, and you cannot use it also on d4 because this square is taken. So the bishop is out of game, paralyzed by its own pawn, and also the rook is out of game because it never really participated in the game. So really stunning tactics. Although Stockfish is down 2 pieces, but look at this, the king is naked, and now white cannot do anything about it. Really immortal tactics. So we have here bishop to f3, we have rook to b8, we have king to c1, queen to a2, now of course threatening a checkmate. We have h7, a desperate try, king to h7, and now after move king to d1, rook to b2. Here in this position Leela c0 resigned. So really brutal what you say. This is now move 38, and the game was over. What happens, for instance, if you play queen to f2, the problem is now you get this one. After move queen to f2, we can of course play here immediately rook to b1, and then the game is over. If you cover yourself with knight to c1, then you simply lose the queen. So you could maybe try queen to d2, sorry, you can maybe try queen to g3 to escape here, to get all of this tactical mess. But look at this, you get this check, then you have again the only opportunity to cover yourself. But now you play this one, then we can take out this one. You can also cover yourself with the bishop, but again you played sort of a zigzag motif, and now you can take out this one. You can again cover with the queen, but the game is over. Queen to f3, and you can also play rook to g2. It's a beautiful checkmate. So really stunning tactics. I'm not sure what to say about this game. Stockfish sacrificed everything just in order to get this beautiful activity on the b file, paralyzed its opponent's pieces. You see the bishop and the knight never came into the game. Really one of the best games that I've seen in my life. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed the game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting ideas of the Richter-Rauzer attack, especially a cool game with the black pieces that was won at top engine level. If you want to see more brutal attacks like this, check out my commented chess games played by computer series with some more games played by Alpha Zero, Leela Zero, Stockfish, and many more. And if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course.